Welcome to Java and thank you kindly for joining me. It's July 28th, 2025. It is Monday, so I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Thank you very kindly for coming back and joining here. We've got a significant week ahead, including jobs, GDP, the Fed decision, and this morning, the biggest deal ever is being announced with the EU, between the US and the EU. So, as always, let's get started with what's going on in the markets. Now, we've got fear greed meter definitely in greed zone. I expect this to rise a little bit after the market opens. There is, got a little pun here, the daily driver is no breaks. It's not taking a break. 5 consecutive all-time high days. So let's look at what's behind it. We've got the 10-year yield. We've got, after this trade deal, money flowing back into US exceptionalism, you would say. So the US dollar denominated assets back on the table. So purchasing bonds, this is taking the yield down a bit. Nothing major, but taking the yield down as bonds are being bought. Relative strength of the dollar, relative, going up, so gaining a bit of strength after this deal, which is a significant indicator, but we'll talk more about that. Stocks up, definitely in the green. European stocks a little bit softer, but also doing well on this. Asia not doing so well on this trade deal. The futures, it looks like they are going to increase. It's seeing silver on a slight, but it's pretty much holding along with gold. Oil is up slightly, but that is more on negotiations for the Middle East and a little bit of calming back with the temporary ceasefire. So cryptocurrencies recovered again. Bitcoin still 118,950. So after they took a bit of a hit, those are back up again. Now, this is a quote. This could be the most consequential week for the economy in years. And it's because between the trade deals, the deadline, which is the first, and we've also got all of these other things coming in. And unfortunately, I'm going to be out for most of it. This will be probably my only video for the week. We've got the European Union is the big deal. Now, looking into it a little bit more, in short, they bought United States inflation, which is what the United States exports more than anything other than possibly propaganda. How did they do this? Now, it was 15% tariffs, no retaliations, but the no one's kind of paying attention in the background of what's going on with this. They're, in short, cornered into purchasing United States energy, oil, and gas, as opposed to Russian energy, which they have been purchasing. Now, the price on Russian energy has gone up. They're going with the sanctions. This is also affecting oil slightly. They haven't queued into this. And what no one's discussing is the cost that they will be paying for this. So there's an awful lot of fluctuation behind the scenes of this so-called flat 15%. So as I said, with the UK, they're using this as kind of a surface rebalancing tactic between all of the trade imbalances, because this has to be drawn out prior to shifting over to the stablecoin new system. And this is one of the mechanisms that they can kind of control that as kind of a release valve for the pressure. So with that energy deal, there's quite a bit more about that, because they said they've got to purchase so much in energy, but they didn't relate to the volumes or an exact pricing with this. And it's just kind of locking them in that the United States now has a customer and the EU now will not so much be at the mercy of the Russians, will be at the mercy of the United States instead. So money flowing into bonds and equities, which is the stocks. This is a play on American exceptionalism. So, as I said, this relative strength of the dollar, the DIX is the dollar, is showing the rate of the inflation being exported to the EU. So, the euro down a bit. They're not going to become the next reserve currency. So, I hate to disappoint any of those of you that thought that that might be the case going forward, because we're talking about that. but it's just not going to happen. So, calendar. Now, JOLTS, that's job openings. Nothing on Monday today. The big news starts Tuesday with the JOLTS job openings numbers to see how strong the economy is. Wednesday will be a big day because we're getting the gross domestic product, seeing how much the United States is producing, and a good portion of that is going to be military spending. So keep that in mind when that comes out. However, it will still move markets. We've got the Fed speaking with their interest rate decision, and after that, 2:30 at the podium, what he says is much more important. Now, at the moment, it's looking like they're not going to do anything with the rates, probably holding until September. So we'll see what happens with that. I think anything else would jolt the markets too much, and they're not willing to do that at this time. So we've got that trade deal right around the corner on the first, and so they don't want to do that 2 days prior. We've got PCE, so again, these core numbers coming out Thursday, and then Friday is going to be all about employment, unemployment, seeing how strong the real economy is, but those numbers always manipulated. So we're going to watch how the markets react, but it's not going to be an indicator of what's actually going on. So for the real market, I'm going to cover that. So we've got zero DTE rules right now. These are squeeze plays that we're watching happening more frequently in the market. These are the meme stocks like Dunkin' Donuts, these ones that are just skyrocketing. We had, I believe the last one was Open Door, and then they're retracing. So these are ones that are kind of buying in, squeezing them up, and then they're getting out. So pump and dump scans again. Zero DTE stands for 0 days to expiration. It is an option play where you can leverage your bet, if you will, on stocks, because that's for the most part what it is, and it ends at the end of the day. So these are the riskiest of the options plays, in my opinion, that you can do, but they can be incredibly lucrative. So people are, in short, gambling on these. This is all retail plays. This is not big money. Now we've got Tesla coming out. Don't bet against Musk. So came out with a deal with Samsung saying that is going to be making major purchases over the next few years from Samsung to be creating their chips. He also made an announcement about coming out with a version of Grok called Baby Grok for kids, which I think is quite innovative. And in this environment where everybody's pushing for these types of correlated age restraints, I think that could be a very good move for that sector of his businesses. Now, I've got Audi slashing their outlook. Autos in general are very weak. This is pretty much globally that autos are down, except for Chinese inexpensive vehicles. They're the only ones coming out on top at the moment. So a little bit more of a look into these. They're blaming this now on the United States. Now, mind you, as I just said, this is a global issue going on. Europe, this is obviously Audi and Volkswagen are having very large difficulties with their vehicles, so this cannot be related. But in the United States, they're trying to blame this on the student loan debt, that it dropped their credit scores, and so now they can't afford vehicles or they don't qualify for the loans any longer. So they're saying the issue in that these vehicle purchases are going down is because of this, but that wouldn't be global. So that doesn't quite fit it. What's going on is we're seeing more repos, more issues, the consumer getting weaker. There is less of savings and more short-term debt, much more buy now, pay later. Doesn't add up that that's the only thing that it is, although that is going to crush it as well. Now we've got crypto giant Bullish is the name of it, filing for New York Stock Exchange initial public offering IPO with none other than Pete Thiel backing. This guy is just everywhere. So another platform coming out, expect that one to probably have something else behind it. He's also the one behind Palantir, PayPal, and multiple others. So we've got artificial intelligence. This is a different story, finally, from Financial Times admitting that it's fueling an energy price rise in the United States. I've been saying that for a while, and it's going to continue. So we're going to see not just energy inflation, but energy is at the basis of all manufacturing and shipping. So all goods will feel this and inflate eventually. Still got a massive problem with this. Now, I'm going to skip over. We've got this too. China launching a $500 annual baby subsidy in a bid to boost births. United States came out with 1,000. So but that's just everyone trying to get the population back up, but at the same time, they're trying to control it. It's a very interesting anomaly with a few other things behind it I can't really go into here. Now we've got the Genius Act. They're saying will spark a wave of killer apps and new payment services. We knew this was going to happen, but they're finally coming out with this and saying this in public. So we're going to watch a wave of these coming out in the near future. A lot of them already built, just waiting for this regulation to come out so that they could be official. Now, of all people, Sam Altman coming out saying that whatever you say or use ChatGPT for could be used against you. Now, I've been warning about this anyway. It's definitely not private. OpenAI CEO expressed concern that conversations lack legal privilege and could be subpoenaed in lawsuits. So his point was that when you're speaking with an attorney or if you're speaking with a counselor, you have protections. But anything you use in ChatGPT, which you should be aware of this already, if not, could be used against you. Almost guarantee it would be used against you. It's going to be used against your incoming social score. So do be aware of that. Now, I've got one final announcement. I've got a couple of major things that I've got to take care of and deal with this week. So this probably is my only video this week. I will try, but I just don't think that I'm going to be able to um, make the availability or be here. I will be as much as possible, but definitely not Tuesday or Wednesday. So I wish you all the best. And that could also be another flag because it seems like every time I turn my back on this market, it decides to act up because mom's not in the room. So at any rate, much love to all of you. I wish you a wonderful week. And until I see you again, my friends, resist.